Hey everyone, welcome back to Cities Decoded, where we break down what happens when artificial intelligence meets the nation's cities. I'm, as always, Sam, your host. I actually just realized I did not introduce myself on the previous live stream, so hopefully people can recognize my voice at this point. But yes, I am Sam, the host and creator of Cities Decoded. And once again, I have a repeat guest on. I love the guests I've had on, and I'm always happy to have them back. And this guest is T. She has become the latest partner of Cities Decoded. I admired T's work all of 2025. We had an episode late last year about how to cut through the noise with AI news because T does this amazing thing where every weekday, this creator gives us the tea, gives us the what is happening in the AI world. There's humor in it, there's memes, but there's also important news on AI, crypto, and just general tech news that might have flown under the radar, which I think is actually the most important part. And I was so excited to announce that the first partnership with Cities Decoded for 2026 was having the Daily Tea join Cities Decoded. And now viewers not only get the Daily Tea on weekdays, but we just got onto Threads as well, which is affectionately known as Meta Side Project. But I saw the UI and just felt like it was clean Twitter in more ways than one. And we've already been getting good engagement there, but I'll be posting more of T's stories there. And that hopefully will also invite some more conversation. We already have some people chiming in there. So I appreciate that. So now you can get the Daily Tea not just through Substack, but also through Threads. So check us out there if you haven't already. And with this podcast episode, what we're trying to do is the monthly tea. So as you all might understand, you get the Daily Tea on every weekday. I love that day. We kept on saying it. But the monthly tea, we intend this to be, thank you, Boli. We intend this to be a monthly roundup of some of the stories that caught my eye. Hopefully that caught T's eyes as well. And then just generally, what is the state of AI news? T, welcome back. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much, Sam. It's my honor to be here.
Honor is all mine. Let's get into it. So the first news story I want to talk about is Claude, which is the AI model by Anthropic, and how it has been supercharging scientific research workflow. So I'll just read the summary and then ask you a couple of questions. So very recently, Anthropic detailed how scientists are using Claude-based systems to compress months-long research tasks into hours, particularly in life sciences and computational biology. You have institutions like Stanford and MIT using these Claude-based agents for things like hypothesis generation, connecting Claude to tools and databases, using Claude-powered agents to interpret things like large-scale CRISPR gene knockout data, flagging biologically meaningful clusters, things that are clearly very important. And I'm very glad we have smart people working on those things. So, T, when you were reading this article or understanding it, how much does this actually democratize scientific research versus just being a cool tool for existing scientists and researchers to use? What do you think the difference is there?
That's a great question. Actually, when I was reading this piece of news, I was actually thinking of this research actually that was published by the end of last year. They were trying to predict when super AI would come out, and one of them being super researcher. And by super researcher, it means it will be a global Superman scientist, so who's basically able to drive cross-domain scientific agendas just by itself. So it will come up with a hypothesis, and it would start doing its own research and figure out the solutions or any sorts of discoveries based off of the hypothesis that they created. So what my understanding of this piece of news is, so at the current stage, we're definitely not there yet to have this super scientist. But what we're currently at is that AI will do all of the legwork, whether it's able to discover the patterns that would take hundreds of days or even years of discovery of human time to be able to figure out a pattern, or it's able to kind of optimize the workflow to make things more efficient. But definitely, there's a lot of things that we can look forward to. And I think the future of medicine, especially, healthcare, whether it's to cure disease or just to figure out why life exists, all those secrets and laws of life, it's going to be very promising. And also it could be a little scary, if
Yeah.
AI is able to come up with questions that we don't even understand, and they're able to even figure out solutions to the questions that they have. And we're like, it's probably the singularity that everybody's talking about. Like you just don't understand what's going on, and they're super advanced compared to human beings.
Yes. And when the singularity occurs, we will be doing a live stream so everybody can expect us to be breaking that down. One thing that I think especially stands out to me about agentic workflows, and particularly in the fields of like science and medicine, is very exciting because not only could these solutions potentially cure diseases, but maybe prevent diseases as well from even
Hmm.
happening. One thing that always stands out, and I think is a really easy, let's say, win or benefit of AI is like how much time it does save. We see that at the company I work at as well. That's one of the first things that in like the knowledge work realm also really matters is like how much time are
Hmm.
you saving? And it's something that this article, which was by Anthropic, points out. But
Hmm.
I think the fast follow there is like pricing models and costs of
Hmm.
these agents. So based on what you've been seeing so far, as we see with like Claude Code, other coding agents, what are the implications for like maybe smaller labs or independent researchers who don't have as big of a budget? How do you see that playing out with their access or usage of these coding agents? I guess essentially, like, do you see pricing models of especially agents being able to keep up with this democratizing of access with AI tools?
That's a great question. Actually, I was just thinking about that the other day when I was hearing one of the founders of a AI startup talking about now AI industry is very, very similar to traditional manufacturing industry, meaning like the prior software era is gone because
Mm,
back then the margin is almost 100%. There's no cost. Once you develop a product, users use them, and there you go. You have the market. Whereas
right,
now with AI, everything has a cost, whether it's to train the model or inference it. You don't even have to train the model. You just use it itself. It costs money. So
right.
now it's like everything has to be kind of, it's very similar to how old business works. You have to think about, your budget, how it works. And to answer your question, there is an article that recently came out about how Google actually limited the access to alpha mode, which is also similar to it's like model for genes. Basically, all of the genome sequence and everything that used to be open ended, open source. It's closed by Google, and there is a MIT student that's able to do the reverse engineering. That's
Oh,
figuring out how Google AlphaFold actually works, and then
yeah.
open source it to everybody else. So I definitely think there's going to be this battle between open source models and proprietary ones, but eventually the open source ones will win.
Yeah,
um,
right.
that's definitely the case, and that's how Chinese models are winning the market these days. But eventually, I think now definitely the cost of either chips or infrastructure or even the compute itself, whether there's enough power to power those AI infrastructures, it's still definitely a heat topic, and it's like the hot commodity that everybody wants. But I think eventually the cost of whether it's to run the AI infrastructure, to buy those chips, or the power itself is going to go down, but it's going to
Mm,
take a little while.
right,
Yeah.
right. So, one thing that I want to do better through these monthly recaps is learn a bit more about crypto. And by that, it's literally going from like 1% understanding of crypto to like 5%. I think our team was kind enough to invite me to a crypto based event when I first moved to New York. I think that started the juices flowing, but I'm doing my best to have a crypto story for each of these monthly recaps. In that spirit, let's talk about Bitmine. So Bitmine apparently bet $200 million on MrBeast, who's this huge YouTube creator, on his DeFi-enabled entertainment empire. Um, This $200 million expected to close by January 19th gives Bitmine exposure to a brand that reaches more than 450 million subscribers across multiple channels and expanded into consumer products and philanthropy, as most successful creators end up doing. According to Bitmine and Beast Industries, the partnership will support the launch of a financial services platform leveraging decentralized finance and advance the company's ambition to become, quote, the most impactful entertainment brand in the world. So with anything MrBeast related, I think it's a good place to start. Where is this a pivot or publicity stunt? Because MrBeast has built his empire on viral stunts and philanthropy. So, in your perspective, does integrated DeFi represent a genuine strategic shift toward these types of financial services, or is it primarily more of a branding play? Let's start there.
Mm. That's definitely a great question. When I was actually reading through this news, I actually kind of looked into MrBeast's business more in detail, and then you know what I found? He basically has his whole empire of business. So he has this food business where he sells lunch. He sells MrBeast burger and those snacks and chocolate. He also does this media a thing that we all are aware of, the Beast game or the Beast animation. And also it sells Beast Mobile. And it has all the sorts of toys and merch. And he also created a creator marketing marketplace just so that content creators are able to find a sponsorship. So now with this finance platform that he builds, I personally think it's a brilliant idea because I actually was answering this question to one of my friends who's asking like, what's the point of meme coin? Like, it doesn't have any intrinsic value, which is true. But if you have this ecosystem where people are willing to use this token to trade, to buy services. Say, for example, if I have this token that's called Beast token, and I'm willing to use it to buy lunch, and then there's some merchant, they are willing to just take your token and give you the lunch, and that will be it. So and now with the environment in the current administration, which is definitely great for crypto. Everything, including the CEO of Chase, recently had a comment of bringing everything on chain. So, like in 2 years, everything, including stock bonds, treasury, all of those traditional financial products will be brought on chain because blockchain definitely offers this safer, faster, cheaper infrastructure that the traditional payment infrastructure just cannot compete. So yeah, it's very exciting, and I think I don't know the name of MrBeast's platform or the tokens. I'm sure he's probably gonna launch his own token. Yeah, and then he might actually use that as a reward for all those loyal fans. So it's gonna be something. Yeah, I'm very excited to see how it unfolds. And because of the ecosystem he already has, there's already audience, there's already fans, so you don't have to worry about people not buying into it. It's just how big it's gonna get. And it can sustain because there's an ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah, I think more broadly, what's your take on if entertainment brands like MrBeast, how successfully they really can enter financial services? I feel like historically, when you think about like celebrity-backed financial ventures, it's mixed results at best. What do you think it would take for MrBeast and Beast Industries to build this like credible, sustainable financial infrastructure? Like maybe that is related to the crypto of it all, but like what do you think it's important for him and them to consider to make this like sustainable to that point?
That's a great question. By sustainable, you mean it's not like a rug pull, right? So once the price of the tokens or whatever goes up, and then it immediately falls because there's no
Exactly.
That's a great question, and I think that's there's a lot of meme coins that came out last year that pretty much was a scam. Even though eventually the price would not be like near zero, but there's a lot of people that kind of chase the FOMO kind of trend and lost all of their money. With MrBeast, what I think twofolds. One is the technology itself is very solid. There's a lot of companies like Coinbase, for example, they offer crypto as a service. So if you want to launch your own tokens or have the infrastructure built, they are the big companies, big crypto companies like Coinbase is able to take care of it. That's definitely something that's happening. And then the other thing is with MrBeast. I think it's not uh, going to be the case where it's just going to be a rug pull scam, meaning it's actually based on a already existed and lively ecosystem with
Sure.
the food business, media, consumer products, the phone. There's use cases and there's fan base already there. So yeah, we'll definitely see how it's gonna unfold.
Yeah, he's definitely diversified his portfolio of goods and services that he's offering. It's like a little ecosystem he has going on,
Right.
which I actually think is underreported. It's something that like I don't think about as much. I think the most I thought about with someone like Mr. Beast was the Beast games and the
Hmm.
semi controversy around that. Like I think the conditions were great for the participants at times,
Hmm.
allegedly. But yeah, I do think he's kind of in that category of creators slash influencers that are also like really acute business people. I
Hmm.
would say like
Hmm.
Alex Cooper of the really popular Call Her Daddy podcast as well. Like she's created
Hmm.
her brand of drinks and other merchandise, and she's clearly like a very
Hmm.
good business thinker. And I'm curious
Hmm.
maybe if she is somebody who might also venture into this world. Then we can another news thing to recap. If that and we have the singularity, and if Alex Cooper goes crypto, that's the running list of reasons to come back. All right, let's go a bit more global. So another news piece that we saw was Starlink is helping Iranians circumvent severe internet blackouts. There's currently a lot of protests in Iran. Much smarter people sort of covering that. So I would encourage people to look that up if they are curious about what's going on. But this news article is talking about how Starlink was providing complimentary satellite internet service in Iran as the protests were going on. Thousands of Starlink terminals were reportedly smuggled into the country since 2022 after U.S. authorities allowed technology firms to bypass some sanctions to support Iranians' access to communication tools. So I actually think for this, so just to elaborate on the thought you wrote that technologies like Starlink are often underestimated, yet they could shift power towards citizens under dictatorship by restoring information flows. Intelligence wins wars, and this is a powerful example. So just, yeah, say a bit more about what you were thinking when you wrote that, especially why Starlink or technologies like it feel underestimated and how intelligence wins wars. Would just love to hear more of your thoughts there.
Mm. Yeah, when I was reading this news, I was very excited. And I think technology, when it's in the hands of good people, it's very powerful. Um, like in this situation in Iran, for example, or in Ukraine, because I remember SpaceX Starlinks actually did something similar
Mm,
during, it's still going on, but in the very beginning phase when Ukraine and Russia war started.
right.
And when it comes to war, intelligence, information is everything. Whoever has more intelligence, information will be uh, the winner. And at least and I
Yeah.
think that's what the dictators in either China or Iran they're afraid of. That's why they built this Great Wall. Um, so scared of their people knowing the truth. So what Starlinks do here is, they kind of it's almost like war in a sense, but they're fighting it from a different dimension. So
Right.
it
Yeah.
cuts off all of the borders of different countries. So it's like, you cut off our Wi-Fi, fine. But I open up Starlinks, everybody can just use it for free. So I don't know if you've seen on Twitter/X, there's a lot of videos from those protesters, those
Hmm.
freedom fighters in Iran. They posted a lot of videos that are portraying what's actually happening there, which is pretty terrifying. But so I am amazed by the power of technology. And I do think this is something that Jordan Peterson actually wrote. He said, a harmless man isn't good. he's weak. A good man is a dangerous man with that power under voluntary control, capable of defending
That
himself or
sounds very
others.
Jordan Peterson. I can like see
Absolutely.
him saying that in my head right now.
Yeah,
Yes.
I actually
Yes.
do agree with it because if you are just good, like whether like being a rabbit or being a lion. So like rabbit, you cannot just say a rabbit is good or not, but a lion who chooses not to attack other people would be good because
Sure.
he has the power to be dangerous, but choose not to be dangerous, you know?
Hmm.
So like in this situation, I just think, even with AI, we have to people that love freedom, love democracy, have to kind of really speed up the development of AI now, because especially with dictators like the Chinese government, they're doing everything they can to speed up the process. So time is definitely not on our side.
Right.
um, yeah, I don't know if it's off track, but this is pretty much about like politics and technology, and that's my view towards it.
Of
Technology is
course.
neutral. It's neutral. We need to embrace it and use it to do good things. And I think definitely Starlinks are doing a great job
Right.
at this pivotal time for
Right.
Iranians. Yeah.
Right. Yes, for sure. I feel like on the point of technology being neutral, something I really noticed when I was in DC and going to tech events and helping host tech events is that people sometimes started talking about tech and AI and the progression of it
Mm,
as if it was purely policy. Like you could have inserted like climate change or like a different issue and the whole talk would have been the same. Like we need more regulations here, like we need
mm,
less regulations here. And I feel like, yeah, politics is what makes it partisan or for you to have like different
mm,
policy shifts or perspectives on it. But the technology itself it only is what it is. Like
mm,
it does not have inherent bias. It's always the humans designing it or producing it that are the ones that are, putting their biases in. And I feel like that is a point that's often lost. Like we need less AI, we need more AI. It just sometimes it doesn't really hit my ears well. I don't know if you have any reactions to that, but I think generally, yeah, it's helpful to even with a term like AI, like or
mm,
tech, like what does that mean to you? Like, does it mean
mhm,
something like Starlink or something like completely different? Like tech is so broad.
mhm.
Yes, but something for everyone to post at their next dinner conversation. Let's talk about robots. So this was something that I was thinking about also from that crypto event where again I was learning my way into crypto. I was asked by the other speaker where I thought like the next like frontier was going to be, and I think it's very much in tech being infused into like physical objects,
Mhm,
which of
mhm,
course robots will be a big part of. You had reported that a humanoid robot named Neo was using video AI to learn new skills. This was a robotics company, 1X, that had upgraded its humanoid robot with a 1X world model, which is a video-based AI system that lets the robot turn simple text or voice prompts into new physical actions it was not explicitly trained to do. And then by
mhm,
learning from that and grounding with a knowledge and background in world physics, the robot could autonomously plan to execute everyday tasks like making a lunchbox or opening doors in unfamiliar environments and being just pretty human-like, I would
mhm.
argue. So a couple of questions here. How does learning from video change robotics deployment, if at all? If this neo humanoid robot can acquire new skills by watching online videos rather than requiring explicit programming for each task, would that affect in a good way like the speed and cost of deploying humanoid robots? Let's say in like homes or like care settings. Do you think?
Mm, yeah, I recently listened to a scientist who's working in Google DeepMind, who's actually
Hmm.
working on those world models like robots. And I think it's very insightful what he shared, which is like data. Data is everything, good quality data. And then for technology like robots, they need a lot of data, good data. So like whether it's you know um they call it when the robots actually do those work themselves, they're gonna record whatever they do, right? They learn from whatever they do in that videos. That's one of the data that could be used for training, later training. And there are other data where those are the videos about real people doing actual things, like doing laundry or opening doors. Or there will be simulated data where like Sora, for example, all of the videos that are generated by AI that are super good in quality could also be used to train robots. Actually, when I was reading this piece of news, what I was thinking was the definition of AGI. There actually are several, because everybody's talking about AGI and when that's going to come, but the definition of it's varied, and it's context by context. Like if you were talking about the definition that's made by the deal between Microsoft and OpenAI, it's actually by whether the systems that's developed by OpenAI are able to generate around like $100 billion in profits. Sure. That's the definition of their AGI. There is also, which is probably more common definition of AGI, being, they are able to, they have this human level general cognitive ability, and they can generate major economic consequences. So the economical consequences will be the results, not itself, not like $100 billion dollar profits being the definition of AGI. So in this situation, if a robot, for example, is able to learn from videos, like a human being. Like when we watch, imagine we actually watching a video, say for example, how to fold laundries. We watch it and we learn it. We're able to practice it. The same with for a robot. They're able to process language. For example, they read a text, they understand what they're supposed to do. Yeah. Or they do audio or video. They hear a podcast or they watch videos. They will learn and then adapt. Or the world model, which is the one that's definitely, a lot of people are talking about. LLM, all the language models will be obsolete very soon because language, it's not how human beings interact with the world is not just limited to language or text itself. It's actually, if anything, we are more attracted to audio or video or even human touch. Yeah.
Like a podcast.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think it's very promising. But I definitely, from the articles that I read, the podcasts that I've heard, currently we're definitely at the very, very early stage of being able to build this humanoid robots where it could just learn as a human being. Yeah.
Yes. I can just easily see, like a personal example is if a humanoid robot could help me assemble furniture, help me move, and then by extension help like anybody do that. That could be very helpful. But then you also don't want like robots, like you don't want like a congestion of robots either, because I think that's always going to be like, that's how I think about Waymo. As Waymo gets more popular, as like self-driving cars, like is that just going to increase congestions? Since people could just like send hypothetically cars like wherever for the most minuscule of tasks, but that might be something to watch out for. But I definitely think robots are going to are already having a moment, but like going to continue to have a moment, especially if that LLM irrelevance prediction becomes true. I think we have to, of course, address like the safety and ethical implications. Like if a robot can independently plan and execute actions for now based on video-derived knowledge, but maybe even simpler things in the future, how do you think teams can ensure it interprets context correctly and avoids like harmful behavior such as attacking us or any sci-fi robot movie from the past 30 years? Obviously a tough question, but any thoughts there on like what people I think would naturally think, which is how to make robots beneficial to us rather than detrimental as humans?
Well, that's definitely one of the Black Mirror episodes, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
I
Every other Black Mirror episode.
100%. I actually watched a documentary called Breakdown, 1975, and it's about that area. It's when it's 1 year prior to America's 200 anniversary. Actually, this year we're entering into 250. So 50 years ago, it's actually very similar to what it is now, because that's when computers first were kind of developed. And that's when Bill Gates actually dropped out of Harvard. That's what I learned. And everybody was talking about like, how this technology, this computer is going to destroy human beings and all the jobs will be replaced, which is very, very similar to, where we are currently.
Yeah.
You know, and speaking of, whether, like Waymo, all of those driveless cars, taxis are already running. I'm sure in California, people are used to that type of style, and that's actually a debate that Elon Musk actually struggles whether full FSD, fully self-driving is wait, FSD, what does it stand for? So basically it's like with all software based, so you don't need any sensors on the car, so all of the software will be able to take care of driving on its own.
Right.
Because currently a lot of those driverless cars, they actually require a lot of sensors all around in the car to be able to figure out different scenarios, right? Whether if there is a passenger, whether you stop or not, there's just all sorts of information that needs to be gathered for the car to be able to make a decision.
Right.
But Elon Musk is like, okay, now everything can be taken care of by software, which seems to be a little hard to achieve. And to answer your question, I think it's definitely going to take time. But again, because of the data that it requires, because there's a lot of all sorts of scenarios that could happen when you drive, right? And currently, there's not enough data to be able to kind of capture all of those weird moments. But if the model itself is able to actually self-adapt and self-learning, without actually us feeding data to train it, it could be possible. And that actually, the self-adaptive learning, the not even reinforcement learning, but like self-learning by itself, it's probably, it's moving towards where we think AGI will be, AGI even cars.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. AJ, the car version. Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, smart people are working on it, hoping for the best. I think that's generally how I feel about when I think too much about the potential implications. But I think especially with self-driving FSD, my dad in particular is very bullish on it. He usually has the
Mm.
latest software downloaded on the Tesla, and it's incredible. It's incredible, like self-driving. And we talked about how, like in that first news story, how AI saves time, but with self-driving, it saves so much effort. Like like the longer road trips that my parents have been able to do because of the near self-driving or fully self-driving capabilities is incredible. Like talk about not just time saved there, but effort as well. And I'm really excited to see that. I'm also a personal believer that like humans are like imperfect drivers. I mean, that is true, but I do think that is a world I would love to see where like literally zero car accidents. That'd be so amazing, at least in my mind. One general question I had, and this is something we'll keep checking in on, but I know we're less than a month in 2026, but how are you feeling about the pulse of AI news in 2025 compared to what you're already seeing in 2026? Does it feel faster, slower, more optimistic, more pessimistic? Just what can you compare and contrast so far from how news is, what the news is and how it's being distributed in 2026 compared to last year?
That's a great question. Actually, compared to 2 years, almost 3 years ago, 2023, that's when I actually started to follow all the trends, AI trends, all the news. And I was literally thinking about BART. I don't know if you've even heard about that. That's the original models developed by Google. They were
Oh,
super, super bad. And everybody was like, okay, Google is doomed. They're not able to come up with good models. They suck, which they did actually compared to OpenAI back then, 3 years ago
right.
in 2023. But now you see Gemini and how it's integrated with all of those products that we use on a daily basis, like Gmail or YouTube. They do a fantastic job. Gemini is definitely awesome. So I like, for me personally, my feelings, just how I feel about the pace or all of the products that kind of came out this year compared to 3 years ago. It's like I think
Mm.
I'm too spoiled to feel the excitement because back then when there was new models and we're like, okay, everybody was. I personally wanted to kind of try it out, and they were very buggy. And I remember using this model that could generate AI avatar. So
Oh,
whatever
sure.
person
Sure.
And I was like, wow, that's amazing. But back then it was so lucky, like it's very sluggish. But now it's like you cannot just compare. And then they're talking about like instead of saying 2025, 2022, you talk about AI years. So this is the fourth year actually into AI. So AI
sure.
fourth. If we think about the Chat GPT moment at the end of 2022, so we're
Sure.
like in year four of AI. So I'm very excited to see what's gonna come up. And the thing is, I actually literally was thinking about this yesterday. I just don't want to get too attached to any of the product that I use because they might be purchased by other companies. They might just disappear. That happened to me before, because it's so competitive. Yeah, that's my feeling.
For sure. Safe to say there's a lot going on in case anybody did not glean that yet from what we've been putting out. I totally get that. I think AI is measured in weeks and days, not months and years, which is funny because I think, of course, companies still measure like their financial projections in quarters and years. But I think something I'm learning is that anybody who is trying to understand how their company or their relation to AI is going to function in more than a quarter's time is, I mean, it's a little bit of a waste of time. Like, I think things are changing so fast where it's like a week by week, day by day thing. At least that's how I'm feeling at my company, and it's exciting and it's fast. But yeah, there's a lot more, especially on the news front, which is why your process. I know there's some automations going on, but still, like your ability to produce these stories, these high quality stories every weekday is so impressive, and I'm so glad that you've come to our audience. I'm so glad you're here. All right, are we ready for a rapid fire?
Yep, let's
Okay,
do it.
let's do it. So, as I said at the beginning, Cities to Code It has joined Threads, which we're really excited about. But we have already been existing on, of course, Substack, as well as LinkedIn, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So, T, if you could only use one social media platform for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's a great question. I was just talking about don't get too attached to the product that you use.
Yes.
You don't know.
What's the one you feel the most attached to? Let's like turn that question, let's turn that situation on its head.
Well, so far I really love Notion. I didn't know how much AI is integrated in Notion until recently. It's able to create all of the database by itself. I actually I have this list for Hacker News, all the books recommended the most by Hacker News. I can share it with you. And I was just talking to the Notion AI, and it's able to create all of the database with links and with notes. It's awesome. So far,
Wow.
I hope Notion will get better, which it does actually. But yeah, I don't think I will leave. I don't know if it qualifies as a social media platform though.
I love that. I love that. And we can use that answer. Yeah, I've heard Notion's pretty cool. I should check it out. As well. Yeah. If Mr. Beast offered you $1 million in cash or crypto, which would you choose and why?
Which crypto?
I wouldn't know. Whatever is your preferred crypto.
Well, if it's actually his own tokens prior to selling to the secondary market, I would definitely take it because I do believe in the utility of the tokens. I could see the utility with the ecosystem that he already has. Definitely crypto because cash is losing its values by days. Like the inflation is surreal.
Right. All right. Very on brand. If you could ask Claude or any AI one question about your future, and I guess you already could, but anyways, maybe a question you haven't asked yet about your future, what would it be? What would you want from this mystical LLM?
You mean personally or professionally in terms of predictions?
Up to you.
I actually did already. This is something that I would usually do at the end of the year, just to see how because especially according to Chinese culture, I'm Chinese myself. Like you will based on the time that you were born, there is like this fate or this diagram that kind of pictures your life in general, whether it's about your career, about your relationship, about your wealth and everything else. I did that already. I actually don't know. I think Grok actually has done a great job. And I am trying to switch products. I've been using Perplexity for a while, and I'm actually thinking of doing Claude more. I haven't really dived into it. And there's definitely this cost of switching between different tools. I don't know if you've had that experience. If you've used ChatGPT for a long time, you have all your chat history saved over
all
there.
the context, right?
Yeah, like all the context, all the memories. And if you are like, okay, let me try a different model, how do you kind of move that memory over? It's definitely something. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think that is the shift that's happening. Like, I feel like Perplexity stock might be tanking a bit, and especially Claude. And they came out with the co-working feature last week, and it's, at least on tech Twitter, it got some pretty good reviews. Last question: what's a memorable quote you've heard from somebody this year, whether it's a tech founder or one of the articles? But is there any quote that like stuck into your brain a bit and is like resonating with you about all the AI news?
There's this founder of Kimi, Kimi Minimax, which is an open source model also by a Chinese company. And he actually mentioned this book that was mentioned by Elon Musk. By Elon Musk and Sam Altman. I actually have the book. It's called Beginning of Infinity. And he actually mentioned that. And I was like, oh, I should go back to that book. I think I only started like one chapter, but it's on my plan to finish that book. So he mentioned this, which is, there's always gonna be problems in any scenarios, any work that you do. But the good news is there's always gonna be solutions to it. You just have to figure out how. So it's kind of like the beginning of infinity, because the problems will be infinite, but the solutions will also be infinite. You just have to be optimistic and embrace the challenge along the way to climb the mountain as you go up.
100%. I actually heard like the reverse at a tech event late last year. Is like humans are so good at creating solutions, but then they're so good at creating problems with those solutions. Like, it's just this never ending thing where I remember reading like Sam Altman's manifesto from last year and how he said like, if the generations in like the 1600s saw what we did today for like career fulfillment, where it's like typing on our laptops, like they'd be like, what are you doing? Like, we're farming, we're like attending to our basic needs. So maybe, especially as AI speeds things up, maybe we will say the same thing to people like 50 years down the line or 100 years, where it's like, these are just games that you're using to fulfill your life. You're just doing whatever the podcast equivalent will be in 50 years. Because humans love creating solutions and love creating problems. And I think that's where people get a lot of fulfillment for obvious reasons. I mean, who doesn't like to solve a problem?
Yeah, I just saw the interview of Elon Musk, and he was talking about when the universal kind of basic income is achieved, when everything becomes so abundant, he's going to create a company called self-punishment, because people will be so bored. People will be so bored looking for problems to solve. And then you're going to be like creating problems just to punish yourself so that you have something to do.
Yes. We got some Jordan Peterson and we got some Elon Musk. But there are definitely some loud voices in this space, but point well taken. Well, that has been the monthly tea with the esteemed creator of the Era arc. I love that you've been able to join Cities Decoded, and I already have been getting great reactions from the daily tea. I understand that an email a day on every weekday might not be the most conducive. So I think we will play around with the format a bit. But regardless, the content will always be available on both of our Substacks, and increasingly on Threads too, and potentially other content as well. But yes, this was a great monthly recap. Thank you again for coming on and your time as always. If you are listening to this podcast episode or watching it on Substack, please consider recommending us. It really helps us reach new audiences. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. So wherever you get your podcasts on those main platforms. And until the next content piece, because there's many content pieces going on now with Cities Decoded. It's exciting, but I'm still wrapping my head around all of it. Until then, we'll see you. But until then, take care, guys, and hope everyone has a great night. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.